Okay, so I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, Attaining Your Optimum Health. It's a webinar presented by the health professionals of the Health and Wellness Joint Venture team of Next Generation Networking. Imagine living every day in your optimal health for a longer, more active and satisfying life. Will help you get there. Over 15 experts from a wide variety of Las Vegas health professions offer their best wisdom on how to attain your optimal health in a number of specific areas ranging from nutrition, exercise, pain management to skincare, weight management, mindset, and much more. This series of weekly webinars on Wednesdays from 7 to 8 p.m. beginning June 12th last week, going through August 28th, offers practical, actionable insight that will move you toward attaining your optimal health. We're offering a twofold value in this webinar. The first is health education through the experts who have advanced professional knowledge and are daily on the front line working with clients, helping them with health issues. The second value we're offering is a support group. Attendees of this webinar have the opportunity each week to assess their current health situation, identify a goal, and we work together to navigate the gap between the two. Let me shoot this little. Okay, so we're going to have an opportunity a little later to identify your current health situation, what's an optimal health goal, and pick one area that you'd like to master this summer. And then we're going to work together to navigate the gap. So this is not only an educational experience. We've got education coming from a lot of directions. But one thing that is really unique about what we're offering is we're offering a support group where we can bring this goal and you have the experts. We can support each other in navigating the gap between your current health and your optimal health. We launched this series last week, introducing the 5 pillars of optimal health, which brings to mind the question, if you miss a session, where's the replay? Okay, I'm going to show you now. So we're going to go ahead. Yes, here we go. Okay, my health site. Now, I'm a marketing professional, but I do have a health site. It's called Las Vegas Area Trails. And it's my trail running site. So I decided to put all the replay links on this site. So if you go to LasVegasAreaTrails.com, you'll see all the trails and things that the adventures that I'm doing. But over here on the right, you're going to see a link that says health education. You click on the link, you're going to go to this page. And right now you see the session number 1, which was the introduction. And under that, you're going to see the other sessions as we record them and we place them. You click on this and voila, you end up with the article basically. And the article begins with the video replay. Click this link and you have the video replay of last week. Next week, you'll have this week's replay. It takes me about 3-4 days to get this up. So it'll be early next week before I edit the video and record it. And then I've got my notes here. I was mentioning to Holly that yes, there are some notes, and I've got some notes here. They're not as complete as the video though, so feel free to take your own notes. And then you can see we had our navigating the gap, and then the next webinar in the series. Okay, so that's how to, Las Vegas area trails and the health education tab, and there you'll have all of our replays. Now, this brings to mind another question: how do I register for next week and the upcoming webinars? Okay, since we're a part of Network Las Vegas, go to networklasvegas.com on the home page, and I'll put this also on the replay page. But you see, there's a link here, and you click this link, and boom, you register. You need to register every week. We want to be able to track who's attending. It's important to us. We're not only just shooting out information into the ether, but we want to know who's with us. And so register each week so we've got a record. And so that's pretty much how you register. Networklasvegas.com, and how you look at the replays. And by the way, the registration link is the same link for every week, but I've set it up so you need to register each week, just so we can track who's there. So with that having been said, our housekeeping for the week is complete. And now what we want to do is introduce our featured speaker and our presentation today. The title is "The Tsunami of Chronic Medical Conditions and How Your DNA is Not Your Destiny." Love that phrase. And as an overview, do you or someone you know suffer from a chronic condition? Chronic conditions such as diabetes, heart disease, and obesity are the world's biggest killers today. Many think of such conditions in a fatalistic way. My parents had the condition, heart disease, diabetes, therefore it's in the family and I'm doomed to get it. Or I have heart disease and there's nothing I can do about it because it's in my DNA. In this session, Dr. Denise Tropea will explore the causes of chronic conditions, how the DNA you inherited is not necessarily your destiny, and what steps you can take to write your own health story in spite of the health history of your family of origin. Now, here are 6 things we're going to cover in this webinar. What are the most devastating chronic diseases faced by Americans? What are the effects and what are the chances of you being affected? What causes chronic disease? Are there factors that predispose a person to multiple forms of chronic disease? What behavioral changes can we make that will help shield us from chronic disease, regardless of the DNA we inherited from our parents? Can health supplements help guard against chronic disease? And how does our DNA influence our health? And what steps can we take in light of our DNA, to create a positive influence in our health? So Denise is going to guide us through these. A little bit about Denise. She's a board-certified foot surgeon and has maintained a private practice in Las Vegas for 25 years. She's originally from New York, New Jersey, and that area, and has completed her studies at the Scholl College of Podiatry in Chicago. She then went on to complete a 2-year residency in surgery and orthopedics in Salt Lake City before opening her practice in Las Vegas. In 2016, she closed her practice in Las Vegas to follow her passion in health and wellness. Her knowledge of medicine, treatment of chronic conditions, and the importance of supplementation and exercise, along with her extraordinary skill as a health educator, give her the cutting edge in assisting people in creating their optimal mind, body, and soul health. And a couple other things about Denise: she leads the health and wellness contingency joint venture team of next generation networking. A growing team, exciting things happening with this team that meets at the Fiesta Mexicana restaurant the third Tuesday evening of each month. And you can see the schedule on networklasvegas.com for that event. Some great things happening with that. And Denise may fill us in a little bit on her own journey, which, podiatrist, which is very, Western medicine oriented. She has moved beyond that now and is moving more toward an area of natural medicine, but also continuing with all her knowledge of Western medicine, combining the two, and in the process of opening up a health and wellness center in Las Vegas. So perhaps you'll have a chance to share that, Denise. We'd love to hear more about it. So the benefits, I want to mention 4 benefits to look for today in this webinar. One is freedom in the move away from captivity to your family health history. How many of us feel captive? Well, Denise is going to help us with information that's going to liberate us from that captivity. A second benefit that we want to see today is improvement and potential relief from chronic disease and its effects, and a path toward that. And a third benefit is definitely longer life. A fourth is a more active, satisfying life every day, month, and year from now onward. Denise is going to share a path toward realizing these benefits. So, I'm excited to hear what Denise is about to share with us. And so, Denise, I'm going to go ahead and do you want to add anything to your bio, introduction, or do you want to jump right in?
No, I'll just jump right in, because as I jump in, I will be referring to my over 30 umpteen years in medicine and where I started from and where I am now. So thank you very much, David, for that introduction. It's a pleasure to always educate. Knowledge is power. Lack of knowledge is lack of power. And I think the more we know, but it's great to Google everything, but then again, we have all this information. We really need to get the source, the source of where it lies and where it is beneficial to us. As I start my presentation, I always feel that we have to know the problems that exist. The current health reality that we have today is not a great one. It really is not. Chronic disease has been on the rise for a long time. And it, just didn't start yesterday. I mean, as I was growing up in the 80s, here we go. It was the start of the convenience food, the TV dinners. I mean, things that fast food places, things that, maybe were a treat, but then again, it never took away from my background of eating wholesome food. But we really have gotten away from that. So a lot of it now is a lot of convenience. And when we look at, the foods, and we'll talk about that, but I love to really bring in the statistics because I think they're powerful. When you talk about 60% of the American population has one or more chronic disease. A chronic disease is something like diabetes, obesity, that's a chronic condition now, high blood pressure. And, 70% of total healthcare spending is associated with chronic conditions. And then when we look at the baby boomer sector, the Medicare sector, over 90% of Medicare dollars are spent on chronic conditions. So that's a huge, huge number. When we put the top three up, diabetes, heart disease, and obesity, there is a big relationship. Relationship in the fact that with obesity, you can bring on the diabetes. Not all people that have diabetes, there's there's type 1, type 2. We're really not going to get into all that technical definitions, but it's when you have higher than normal blood sugar levels over a prolonged period of time. Some people start out pre-diabetic, in which they're not full-blown diabetic, but it's because they're not eating properly, they're gaining weight, they're eating just too much sugar as a whole, and it's wearing out their pancreas. The pancreas that secretes insulin is getting tired, and that's why we do see type 2 diabetes, which is originally an adult onset diabetes in kids. So we know that there's a problem going on here. And then with heart disease, I mean, we lead the world with heart disease. Yes, you know, you go to the Heart Attack Grill, there you go. You know, Carl's Jr. Burger, there you go. And all this type of fats block our blood vessels. And when we see what the American diet is and listen to people from different parts of the world, I've listened to people from Japan, from France, from, you know, and they look at the foods we eat, it's like, whoa, you know, it's very shocking, you know, to them. Next. So some fast facts on diabetes in the US, 10% of the population does have full-blown diabetes. But it's the pre-diabetic, the person that's not exactly full-blown, but they have a higher than normal tendency to having higher blood sugars, and within 5 years' time, they can become a full-blown diabetic. And that's 86 million people. We have a population of what, a little over 300 million, thereabouts. So 1 in 3 adults having pre-diabetes. So that is a big, big number. Then with heart disease, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, smoking, all those risk factors come into play. And when the risk factors come into play, they set up that, you know, that perfect storm for either a stroke, a myocardial infarction, heart attack, a portion of the heart dies, blood clots, I mean, high blood pressure, you know, kind of the list goes on. So it's all interrelated with the 3 that I spoke about. Next. Obesity, 40% of American adults and nearly 20% of adolescents. So it is the highest rates ever recorded in the US. And, you know, at times it's, you know, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like glorified. And I mean, I just really, it bothers me because I know the problems that can result from being obese and the problems that can be prevented if we realize that we really need to get a handle on our diets. We have to exercise, you know, start small, work up to that. And also sleep deprivation can also lead to an increase in obesity and diabetes because you're not getting enough sleep. It messes with the insulin levels, also cortisol levels, which is like a sugar in the body that's always being secreted, especially if you're under a lot of stress. And this can even lead to the diabetes as well. So they relate. They relate, as I said, due to sedentary lifestyle, poor diet, and of course, when people, you know, smoke, that's another very, very devastating thing. So the underlying factor is oxidative stress. That's really where I want to take the message home. It's at the cellular level. We are made out of trillions of cells. We're probably just about as much as the national debt is. Trillions of cells. And this is a fancy name for toxins that build up in our system and produce oxidative stress in our blood vessels and in our organ systems, eventually leading to disease. So we need to have a constant state of antioxidants which combat oxidative stress. So look at free radical oxidative stress and look at all the different organ systems in the body that can be affected by it. So it's pretty impressive that inflammation in these vessels, organs, cells, cause an enormous amount of problems. You know, when we feel inflammation, a lot of times what we think of is, you know, oh, I have arthritis, or I have it's inflamed, you know, that sort of thing. But it's not only your joints, it goes much deeper than that. It goes into your blood vessels. It's in the brain, causing problems, causing plaques, as we call it, that could be related to a lot of the neurodegenerative diseases that we see today, especially in the baby boomer population. Mm. And then we see here with the kidneys and the eyes, when you look at different eye conditions and see that macular degeneration, because we're not getting the nutrients to those small vessels of the eyes, we need antioxidants, and antioxidants are found in your fruits and vegetables. Plain and simple. Fruits and vegetables. You have lutein, zeaxanthin, lycopene. Those are all found in different green vegetables, yellow vegetables, red. Lycopene is found in tomatoes. Then we also have alpha and beta carotene found in carrots, and this is where it's all at. It's getting back to our basics of antioxidants in order to help prevent the amount of, it's a balance of the amount of oxidative stress that's going on in our body. So the more antioxidants that we have roaming in our system can be extremely beneficial for our immune system, keeping us healthy, for our blood vessels, keeping down our blood pressure, keeping our arteries clean, helping with circulation. Also with our eyes, when we look at, the biggies, the macular degeneration, the retinopathy, and retinal damage happens with diabetics, especially because diabetes is a small vessel disease. That's why people go blind, have kidney issues, and go on dialysis, or very sadly, they lose limbs and they need to have amputations. And it's all because of small vessel disease with diabetes. So this is where we really have to get a handle on all that oxidative stress that goes on in our body. So this depicts there are internal and external sources. When we look at the external sources, we see that we have pollution, the stress that we have from everyday life that we need to get a handle on as well. Diet, the air we breathe, the sun, it all contributes to oxidative stress, which can damage the cell membrane. And if it's not protected by antioxidants, then it will either die off prematurely, it will mutate, and eventually cause disease. So antioxidants are something that I've been involved in for many, many years now, probably close to about 25 years. 25 years now I have been. And I have seen that antioxidants is a basic part of my diet, whether I do it through food or supplementation. But I realize how important it is for our overall health. So the preventive measures, and we will be discussing this in other presentations with the other experts, but even by losing just 5 to 7% of your body weight helps your health greatly, like 15 pounds if you're a 200-pound person. Also, even walking walking a half hour a day, okay, 20 minutes a day if you can't do 30 minutes, still it has so many benefits with your circulation, helping your blood sugar levels. It really is enormous, even though if you do a small amount and you don't have to go to the gym and, you know, pound all these weights if that's not what you like to do. And I always mention to people, do exercise that you enjoy doing. If you enjoy doing something, then you're going to be doing it. When I started doing yoga over 12 years ago for health reasons, because my health was in not the best condition at all. I was pre-diabetic, I had high blood pressure, I had heart arrhythmias, and I was over 40 pounds overweight. Yeah, I was a mess, but I said, there's something I need to do. And I started with yoga, which I continue to do today. And that is something that is very dear to my heart. And I know it can really make a big difference in people's lives. And then my diet changed. I had to decrease my stress level the best I could at that time because of everything I had going on. But the yoga was the main thing. And so proper diet and supplementation really helped quite a bit.
Hey, Denise, I've got a quick question.
Sure.
You're talking about losing 5 to 7% of your body weight. Now, that brings to mind the question, what if you're already at your ideal weight? And that brings the question, how do you determine your ideal weight? Is there a way for a person to know? Because, you know, each of us have a different ideal weight probably.
Oh, yes, everyone does. And it's usually the body mass index, the BMI. That's typically what we go to. It's not exactly an exact, but it gives us a indication of where you're at, because everyone's frame, everyone's build is different. And I think it's important to even talk with a nutritionist and a dietitian and people that are really in the know to see where exactly are you at, especially if you are an ideal weight, but then again, maybe the blood work's not reflecting that. And there are things that you need to do, you know, for that. And that's where certain types of supplementation may come into play, and maybe doing different types of exercise to maybe build more muscle mass, that sort of thing.
Okay, thank you, Denise. I just had to ask that.
Sure, sure. So with proper diet and supplementing with antioxidants, yes, healthy choices, you know, portion control. You know, we see jumbo size everything, and people feel compelled to eat it all. And that leads to a lot of, you know, problems as well. And also serving sizes. That's also very important if people do get hooked up with a dietitian, maybe a nutritional holistic doctor. You're going to see what is going to fit you. Nutrition varies for different age groups. When you're younger, you need more of a balance of the carbs and the fats and the protein. As you get older, your needs change. You need more protein. So it really varies along the spectrum as to depending on what you would like to achieve and what works best, you know, for you. And so it's not a one size, you know, fits all thing. And I'm sure in the coming weeks, when we hear from the other experts, they'll be touching upon these topics. And I'll also be very interested in hearing, you know, what they have to say as well. Now, when we talk about supplementation, I always say not all vitamins are created equal, because they are not regulated by the FDA. And how do we know what's in our vitamins? There could be a lot of fillers, a lot of ingredients that do not get absorbed in our gut. So it's very, very difficult to really say, okay, what's the best vitamin to get? What should we get? And we really have to be detectives to know that we're getting a quality product, something that's going to be absorbed in our system and comes from fine ingredients. And we know, you know, we know more about this company, and we know where they get their ingredients from. And I've done my research on some companies that I have worked with, and I find that you really have to get pure ingredients, the purest ingredients you can. They have to be made in such a way where they have to be finely ground down, and made in where they can be absorbed. We need to absorb them in our gut. If you do not absorb them, then they're just going to get flushed out, and that's exactly where all your money is going that you're spending on supplements. So we know that there is just so much out there, and we really have to be knowledgeable on that. And that's where I've done a lot of my experience over the last 20 years or so, is really finding what supplements are the best, so to speak. Yes. So now that I've kind of laid that platform of our current health reality, when I shift to this section, it's something that I've been interested in at least for the last 10 years now, in which the branches of nutrigenomics is an unbelievable, fascinating field, because it's interacting your nutrition and genes, how the effects of food and supplementation on gene expression. You know, gene expression can be in a bad way or a good way. And gene expression can hold the key to maybe preventing and maybe helping to treat certain conditions. And then when we also look at epigenetics, that's been around for many, many years. As we can see, it was first coined by a biochemist in 1942. And it's the study of switching genes on and off based on our consciousness and the environment around us. Environment, good or bad. If our environment is very stressful, if our environment is very nurturing, that could play a big part on our gene expression. And in the 1990s, a renewed interest of this field, began. And Dr. Bruce Lipton has been very vocal with this, with his book, The Biology of Belief. It's been around since 2005. And it's just an incredible book that really depicts how our consciousness and how our environment do play a part with our genes and our overall health.
Can you give an example, Denise, of how a person could switch genes on and off based on consciousness?
Well, with consciousness, what it will be is having that energy, having that higher vibration that they're utilizing. They're getting into that subconscious, in which you have all those habits and everything that's been ingrained in us since we were very young. And what's happening is that there's a change, there's a shift. And when there's a shift, then we are going to harmonize more with our mind, our heart, and our cells are going to be happy. Our genes are going to be beneficial to that, because we're also probably eating better food. Our choices are going to be better, versus if we were in an environment that was very toxic and we are a high stress level, then it's going to cause problems. Our levels of consciousness and our vibration are going to be lower. People that have certain disease states, their vibration and their energy frequency is much lower than when we are healthy, feeling good, happy. There's a lot of different, states of consciousness in that realm.
So we're talking positive attitude.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking lack of stress. We're talking a consciousness that brings about behavioral change, conscious of the food you eat, for example. Are we also talking meditation? And
yeah, I think it all plays a part. Being grounded, relaxing the mind. We live. The world we live in today. Yes, very stressful, but we need to then we call it grounded. We need to have that firm hold that, okay, I know I have this and this and this, and you're just trying to work it out, essentially. Whereas the awareness of it, and it's not getting away from you to the point where it can lead to depression and anxiety and different health conditions that can
And so my consciousness is going to help me switch a gene on or off. And
yes.
what's that do? Like if the gene is on, what is it, like a stress activator gene or something?
Yeah, it could be. Like, for example, there are certain gene expressions that can cause certain secretions in the body of things that can be devastating, like cortisol, for example. It's a very high stress if you're always in that stress mode. And then you have dopamine and serotonin, which are the good hormones that can be secreted, and that leads to happy things and makes your body in a better state of mind. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. It's almost like you're medicating yourself by your attitude, behavior, meditation. That is very interesting, and the genes release that medication.
Well, it's the cell, because of the cells and the modifying, and then also what you're feeding your body. I mean, Mm-hmm.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
So when we talk about genes and actionable genes, we can see that through lifestyle, diet, and supplementation, we can improve wellness and combat illness. So actionable genes is where the change can take place.
Okay, and actionable genes
mm-hmm.
are
genes that can be modified, and I'll explain what that.
Okay, very good.
Yeah, because what an actionable gene is called is a single nucleotide polymorphism. It's our genetic variation in 75% of the population. The majority of us, we're all very similar. We have so many similarities, but then again, what makes us all different are the single nucleotide polymorphisms that we've inherited from either your mother or your father or both. So it's a crack in the foundation or a weakness. But when we reinforce the cracks and have the knowledge to support these weaknesses, we can actually help our predispositions. That's what we're helping here, is predispositions, because we know we know what's on our father's side, we know what's on our mother's side. Maybe we do, maybe we don't, depending on depending on our family history, if we're adopted or, that sort of thing, that could come into play when we don't know. But we do know that there is this variation, and these variations can then be related to different conditions that can result, such as being more prone to heart disease, being more prone to high blood pressure, more prone to not being able to absorb vitamin D. Those are all part of a variation.
Okay, so that's what you mean by DNA is not your destiny. You can direct your DNA rather than your DNA directing you.
That's correct, yes. And then you would also need to, do a test, gives your body a voice, so you know exactly what these predispositions are. There are SNPs, as we call it, SNP, that are tested, and they will kind of lead you with that guideline as to where the supplementation is needed, and what you need to do in order to have your optimal physical health.
Okay, so I take the test, I discover my predispositions regarding DNA, and then I take action to
then there's action. Then there's supplementation, of course, lifestyle change, variations in your diet. You have then a platform of what to work on. You're not just saying, well, I know on my father's side there's high blood pressure and diabetes. On my mother's side there's cancer and rheumatoid arthritis. oh, well, we don't know. But then again, if you do get a DNA test, you can actually see, what am I predisposed to? You may not be predisposed to all of them. Maybe just one, maybe all of them. It just depends.
Amazing.
Yeah. So, achieving balance in the body is really what the body wants to do. It just wants to, balance itself out and be the best it can. But when we are out of balance and disease results, then we really have to, take that action as to where do we start? Because we all have these predispositions, and so we have to start with working on those weaknesses. And then my belief too is that, the pillars of health then fall, into place. Once the physical, then the mental, the spiritual, social, it all comes together, emotional, because once again, I talked about some hormones such as, cortisol and serotonin and dopamine, and they all have relationships to how our mental and emotional status is, as well. So all this really does play a big part in our optimal health. So I brought together the reality of the health in the world we live in today, and this gives us a foundation of what we can do to be proactive. I think proactive is just so important. Medicine has been practiced for so long just being reactive. Let's wait for the heart attack. Let's wait for the stroke. Let's wait. But if we need to do things to be on top of it and more aware, then of course our quality of life can be hopefully improved. And I think overall quality of life is just so important. I see day in and day out people that their quality of life really has been marred by disease, and it limits them from, you want to enjoy life. You want to get out there and do things, and be a part of it. And when you feel like you're prohibited because of different problems, then it's just there is more that we can do.
So a lot of medicine is masking and managing symptoms.
That's about it. Yeah.
And what
they put the Band-Aid on it and say, okay, and then the medications. And I mean, it's just gotten to that point, very much in the box. And we know that there's so much more. There's so much more out there. Just reading an article that almost 40% of Americans have investigated alternative forms of medicine, and that has been the trend. And my belief is because, when things are not status quo, and we know that we're not getting our answers, we need to find those answers. We need to find out what's going on. And I think that's why I'm seeing the percentages go up in people investigating alternative means and really wanting to ask those questions. What else can be done? And I really want to know what's going on.
Okay, so you're making us move from masking and managing the symptoms to finding a key to influence the cause, which is huge.
Huge.
Okay. So let me ask you this question, and you didn't know I was going to ask this question, so we'll just see Denise on her feet here. What if I were to say, if you were to give us one thing that we could do to take the first step toward making a change as a result of what you've taught us today, what might that be? I know we're all different. We're all unique, so it would be different for each of us. It's not like one size fits all. Mm-mm. But what is a good first step?
Really take a look at your lifestyle. Lifestyle being what you're eating every day. Make a little diary of that, so you become more aware of that. To get out, really think about, how much do I so-called exercise? Okay. Start small. do that. Really think about those simple things first. Our lifestyle, the lives we lead, day in and day out. And sure, a lot of it is habitual, and we go through the same thing every day, and there are certain triggers that get us to, want to just have that, third cup of coffee, or we say, oh, the heck with that, I'm just going to go to sleep now, or I'm just going to grab something on the go because I don't have time. Just really probably do an evaluation of your overall lifestyle.
Okay, so wake up, become conscious, and just be aware of what's happening right now. Okay, let me ask one final question, then we'll open it up to others on the webinar. But if someone wanted to get in contact with you, Denise, and sit down with you maybe for an evaluation or a conversation, how would they go about that?
Well, they can email me. I'll give you my email at beehealthy2016@gmail.com.
Okay, just a second. Here we go. I'm just going to put it up here. BEE
Healthy.
2016.
Yes.
Is that the date of your birth?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. At gmail.com. Okay. Yeah. Excellent. There you have it. Mm-hmm. Okay. Let's go ahead and open it to anyone in the webinar who has a question. Feel free to unmute yourself, ask a question. Okay, Gus is raising his hand.
So one of the things that Denise talked about was supplements, and supplements is a tool that I've been using for a very long time, and I think a lot of us have. And I've gotten to the point where I don't feel that I'm getting impact from them, which makes me question their effectiveness, the bioavailability, the source of where I'm getting it from. So my question to you is this: how do you know if a supplement that you're taking is having an impact? If you're going in the right direction,
what you notice is, well, a couple things. There's some markers you can notice. You can notice blood work changes. You notice you have more energy. Maybe your eyesight is improving. Certain things that your body is in need of will change when the supplement is very, very quality and high quality. And that's where I feel that I've noticed the changes in my body because of the high quality supplements that I've utilized over the years. And when we don't notice much of a difference, we're reading the label, we're seeing that there may be some fillers, we're seeing that it's a hard capsule may not be absorbed properly. So you really have to, the homework, kind of needs to be done, but that's where you can also consult with people that are very much into, supplementation and have certain companies that they deal with that they know the product stands and what they say is true. And that's very, very important. And I think what it is you have to feel that difference in your body of what your predispositions or weaknesses can be.
Right. So I guess that's what I'm looking for, right? I've gotten the blood test. A deficiency has been identified.
Right.
A recommendation has been made, B12.
Yeah, whatever, yeah.
Right. How much time would it take? Like if I'm taking the daily dosage,
right.
How much time in general would you expect to see an impact if you're taking good quality supplements?
It could be as short as a couple weeks to sometimes it could take a couple months. You know, it really varies. I've seen a lot of variation with people when they start on high quality supplements and right away they notice something is like, wow, you know, look at what's going on here. And sometimes it takes a while. It takes a while to get into the system. And then usually if you want to repeat your blood work in about 3 months, that might be a good standard time. You know, I would go with a few months to see how your levels are. If it's something like a vitamin D level, an inflammation marker, let's say. C-reactive protein is usually done if people have high levels of inflammation in their body. And if you're taking proper antioxidants and anti-inflammatory type supplementation, that number may then lower itself, which mine has over the years.
Okay, other questions? Yes, Holly's raising her hand. Go ahead and unmute yourself and ask your question.
Oh, she's got to unmute herself.
Okay, let's see.
Okay, there we go.
There we go.
Okay.
So one of the things you talked about was, in essence, is raising your vibration out of disease. With not only, but you talked about the foods you eat and your exercise. And what are some of the other ways that you have personally maybe found to raise your vibration?
Well, I would definitely say meditation has helped me. Detoxing my body, which I do on a everyday basis anyway, and really being present with myself and connecting my mind, my heart, harmonizing it together in order to raise that vibration. So that's what really has helped me quite a bit.
And I'm glad Holly brought that up because that was actually the word vibration. I didn't really understand what that means. Is the vibration in the body? What do we mean by vibration?
Go ahead, Holly, you can talk.
Well, the vibration is related to frequency information. We're all energy. And our energy can be either a high energy or it can be a low energy. And every one of us have experienced that when we're around someone that's low energy, we might become tired as we're around them because we harmonize with them. As opposed to being around someone that's very high energy and we become entrained with them also, and so we have more energy. Energy, frequency, information, vibration isn't necessarily energy, like I have a lot of energy and I feel real. It actually may be how the energy flows in the body, you know. So things that help the energy flow in the body are going to raise the vibration. Frequencies are from like cycles per second. So you could have a 10 cycle per second to 150,000 cycle per second. That's at a higher vibration. And again, things like what you said with with meditation, and for me, prayer, and doing energy exercises to raise the vibration, thinking loving thoughts, having positive thoughts, things like that will also raise the vibration. Yeah.
So is the vibration, is that something we can measure? Like, because when you tell me high energy, right, I guess, I think of someone who's bubbly and jumpy and, a lot of movement, as opposed and low energy is. But when we say vibration, are we saying that's the same thing?
No, because like if you sit with someone like, say, the Dalai Lama, you can sit in silence and your vibration is raised. And someone that did some really good work on that was a man named Hawkins. He did it shows the levels of life that you can go through. Like anger is a lower vibration, whereas happiness or bliss would be a very high vibration. So the lower vibrations are more like the anger, sadness, grief, shame, those type of vibrational feelings. So feelings have have levels of vibration also.
Okay,
And
so
they're
we're,
also known as the level of consciousness, where
Yes.
what we talked about, like depression and, anxiety, fear, that's all lower. When you go up the level to peace, love, enlightenment, those are your highest levels.
so are these, do I feel that I'm at a higher energy, a higher frequency? Is it something I feel?
I would say you probably would feel it, because you would feel more of those peace, love, acceptance, those type of feelings would be there more than if you're in anger. That's a lower vibration. So yes, you would feel it, because you feel your feelings in your body. And that's another thing that is good for people to notice, is where do I feel the feelings in my body, and connect the feelings in with where they feel it in the body. Yeah.
All right, thank you, guys.
Okay. Very, very good. Okay, so we're near the end of our time today. One thing I would say, as long as Gus is speaking, Gus, tell us about next week.
Not a problem. But I did notice that Denise had her hand up. Did you have a question, Denise?
No, I'm good.
The other Denise.
Oh, the other Denise. Oh, okay. Yeah.
There you go. Turn on that light.
The other Denise. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I had a question. My blood work. Sorry, I came in late through technology challenges. I'm curious about the DNA testing to learn more about predispositions. In other words, things I might have come my way in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, is that a special DNA test or?
Yeah, it's a test that's done. You need to swab the inside of your cheek, and with those cells, a testing is done. Yes, so you can contact me and we can discuss more.
Yeah, I'd be curious about that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you for asking that question, Denise. Thomas. Two Denises were in here.
I know.
Okay. So Gus, go ahead and give us a little preview of next week. What's your theme and why should we be there? What can we expect to gain from your theme?
Well, we're going to be focusing on how posture can foretell physical health, or tell us this current state of our physical health. When I compare the challenges that Denise has to deal with when we're dealing with nutrition, there's so many issues and knowledge that you have to know in order to be able to handle that effectively. I think my job is a lot easier compared to that. Basically, we look at the body and we see how it's positioned, because we look at the body as a biomechanical machine, very simply as a machine with levers, right? And when you do that, it becomes very simple to see how it operates and how it can operate optimally. So we can look at the posture as a physical indicator at a body that has gone through stress. And the stress could be from all sorts of different forms, from illness, from trauma, from emotional. And by doing that, what's nice about that, it's a sort of an objective way to look at health, because a lot of the times we look at pain as the indicator of healthiness. Hey, I'm not in pain, I'm healthy. I'm in pain, I'm not healthy. Well, how pain can sometimes not be a good indicator. And I'll give you an example. A few months ago, I went to the chiropractor, I went to him just as research. Wasn't in pain. It was someone that I was connecting with, and we went through their process. And they did an X-ray of my neck, and what we found out that was, one, I had lost my cervical curvature, right? I had military neck, right? And two, there was stress at the bottom of my cervical spine, where it was almost, it's getting close to bone on bone. I'm not in pain, but yet I'm dealing with a problem, right? And because I was able to find out my situation, then I was able to take action to correct it, right? And that is a situation with posture. With posture, you can take a look at a person and say, you know what? We see some imbalances that will have a negative impact later on in life. And if the goal for us is to be, let's imagine our goal is to be 100 years old and to be able to carry, 2 bags of groceries from the car to the house, right? Then there's some things we want to do. We want to protect our joints. We want to protect our bones. We want to protect our soft tissue. Right. So we're going to use posture. We're going to take a look at posture and see how it can basically tell us where we stand physically and where we stand health-wise physically.
Okay, so I'm going to be sitting up straight all week in preparation for next week's
I love
webinar.
I love
Okay,
it.
well, thank you, everyone. We're at the end of our time for today. So just want to thank everyone for being a part of this. Encourage each of you to identify an area that you would like to, identify a goal, an area you'd like to improve in your health situation, and bring that to next week. And we'll have a little more time at the end of next week to name that area, ask the experts, okay, what do I do? And we had some of those questions today. And experience some real help here and support from the group. As you can see, we're a room full of experts, and that's really exciting.